get asked a lot what can I do to improve my organic ranking, improve the amount of times I'm found organically, to support SEM. Some people are thinking you can replace SEO with SEM. They really work hand in hand. One doesn't work well in a vacuum without the other. It's a symbiosis, I think, that works best when both of them are optimized for efficiency. So SEO, the best way to do this, and I've talked about this in another video, but I haven't gone into a lot of depth on how to do it. So the SEO for your website, I mean, there's so many people trying to game, what's the best SEO? What are the best keywords so my site ranks? I mean, what you really need to kind of take into consideration is, how are people shopping? What's the best user experience that you can provide on your website? So I've seen websites that have single CTAs, single click to actions on the VDP, no click to actions on the SRP. And I haven't seen results in saying that actually works empirically well, but I haven't seen enough stores do that either. Now, on the other side of the coin, I can definitely tell you stores that have more than 5 CTAs on their VDP page absolutely don't perform well. And it's really difficult to track those results as far as success goes, which what you're looking for is to ultimately that click on that CTA on your VDP page. That's what we're looking for. That's the engagement. That's the whole point of all of it. The SEO, the SEM, the paid social, all that. That's what we're looking for, is that click, no matter what it is, on the VDP page to get some kind of two-way communication going with that particular dealership. So, or that particular customer in that particular dealership. So
there are speed traps ahead.
What I would absolutely recommend is, and I've said this a bunch of times before, is going to your team and getting the frequently asked questions from them. Now, why do I say that? Because if there's someone who is coming into the store and asking that question, how many people are at home who are Googling that same question, right? So if we can provide a solid answer to that question for someone who's at home, that establishes us as that subject matter expert, right? Now we're giving ourselves, street cred, for lack of a better word. But you're also appearing where your customers are shopping, where your customers are querying and asking the questions they need answers to. So instead of thinking of how can I game the system, how many cities can I shove in my examples so that I appear in those relevant near me searches, why don't you just provide good content that actually is highly searchable and highly organized for your customers to be able to navigate through to find the information they need. So for example, let's say we've got 5 frequently asked questions from one of our sales team. The number one would be what? How many miles are the minimum or the maximum for a lease contract? How many miles am I allowed to drive? So when you're crafting out the response to this, you want to take into consideration voice search. How would someone search that? How would someone, and you can do that by a couple different ways. So you can get an SEM Rush account. They have a really good keyword tracker that requires some investment on your side. You can actually, Google has free tools that you can actually, Google keyword research tools that you can actually look in as well, that are free, that give you some insight as to what people are searching for. Google Trends is another one. You can look at all these and find different ways that people are searching to try to really craft it, I guess, into a way that would be how someone would voice search that. And that's really ultimately where, in my opinion, I don't mean you need to change your entire website to be voice searchable, but I would absolutely add in some long tail keyword voice searches into my website that just makes sense. Again, back to the customer experience. Let's provide the right information in the right place and the right way so that all of our shoppers can enhance their own customer experience, their own customer journey, no matter what that looks like. So I'm against having one CTA. Reason being is not everybody shops the same way. Not everybody wants to fill out a form lead. In fact, very few people want to fill out a form lead. That only accounts for pretty much 4% of your website traffic right now is an actual form lead anymore. So to rely on that totally for your signs of success or your ROI is not, it's not measuring the full picture of what success looks like and measuring all of your hard conversions. So back to what I was talking about with the voice search and long tail keywords. So when you're answering the questions such as the one we posed is what are the maximum miles allowed for a lease, I wouldn't go just into, we have leases at 10,000, 15,000, and 24,000 miles. I wouldn't just go into that. What I would also go into is a little bit of education in that based on whatever your manufacturer is, can they buy down the miles before they get out of the lease? And you need to explain to them why it's cheaper to do that up front than it is to do at the end of the lease. So when you're trading in a car, you're essentially taking a hit on miles for every mile that you are over the standard average of 15,000 miles per year. So if you have a car for 1 year and it has 30,000 miles in it, you're going to pay the depreciation value in the form of less for your trade for those extra miles on your leased vehicle, on your vehicle that you traded in. For a lease, and typically that works out to be about 25 cents a mile. So for a lease, a lot of lease programs through manufacturers will actually allow you to buy down that depreciation, i.e. those miles overage, for half sometimes. I think the most I've ever seen buy down on a lease program was about 15 cents a mile. So that's, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when you add that up times 30,000, that all of a sudden becomes a pretty penny. And you can choose, you can take that in the depreciation of your car, that's fine. Or like I said, you can buy down the miles in that depreciation. So for a leased vehicle, you can then trade that in for a new leased vehicle and walk away without having to pay extra on your lease buy down. Now that's depending on, do you need tires? How many stars do you have in the windshield? How many dents do you have in the car? That's, of course, barring a physical inspection of the vehicle and safety inspection, stuff like that. But by and large, you can use those long tail keyword tracks, those things that you're building out for a better UX to kind of educate your customers on exactly the programs you have, the vehicles you have, and what you offer. So, what's your lowest price vehicle that your make carries? If that happens to be the Civic or the Versa, whatever it is, speak a little bit about that. Hey, this model got completely refreshed in 2024. The new added features are X, Y, and Z. So not just answering the questions that are possibly part of a voice search, but also offering a little bit of education. Now you're speaking to customer experience. Now you're really meeting people where they're shopping. And that's what's actually going to drive the traffic and drive the engagement. So instead of trying to game the system by trying to make up as many keywords as possible and do a bunch of keyword stuffing, which honestly Google deprioritizes and devalues your site for doing that anyway, the best course of action is just to create that great UX, that great user experience where people can engage with your site the way they want to shop. So if they want to start the process with a digital retailing tool, if they want to do a form lead, if they want to click to call, if they want to click to chat, if they want to make an appointment, if they want to make a test drive. So there's a lot of different stages. I mean, think about the 12 steps to the sale and create out your CTAs accordingly. Now, I'm not saying you need 12, but I am saying there's different points in that journey that you can bring people in to the shopping process that makes sense. That's all I got for this week. Happy selling.